With that, Dr. Bass, will you proceed with your testimony?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I commend you and the committee for having this hearing first out of the box. I think it's 25 years I've been following regulatory issues at the federal level. This is the first time I've seen Congress jump in with great energy, and the last witness demonstrated that energy. So very interesting. I also want to come back to your opening comment where you described this issue of midnight regulation as one of both procedure and substance. And I think we had this conversation with Mr. Kennedy's statement where both issues were being talked about almost simultaneously. The breadth of what we're calling midnight regulations is overwhelming, and that's why it creates an emotional issue. It touches not only the environmental issues that Mr. Kennedy talked about, but it ranges everywhere from issues dealing with privacy of workers under the family medical leave. It deals with issues all the way over to low-income families getting health care services under Medicaid. It deals with a range of issues of auto protections and consumer protections. I'm thinking of the extension, if you will, of the number of consecutive hours that truck drivers can drive, all the way down to privatizing public toll roads. The point is this range of midnight regulations is so extensive that has engendered so much energy and emotion because we got to keep in mind these rules affect people. They affect everyone in this country, and I understand the energy that just occurred in the interchange because of that. I don't think the issue is the number of rules that fall into this midnight regulation category. I think it is an issue about impact it has had on people, and I think it is also about a consistent tone that Mr. Kennedy referred to about deregulation and serving certain interests. I think it is also that it wouldn't matter in my mind whether it occurred at midnight or whether it occurred at the beginning of administration or the middle. It is the amazing amount of regulation that was put together in a short time span that is reason enough for Congress to bring congressional oversight to this issue. Congressman Watt, in response to your questions, I think this is not just an issue about ending midnight regulation. Government must continue to do its work, valuable work, to protect health, safety, environment, consumer protections, the range of services in the regulatory front. We might be having a vastly different discussion if the administration, the last administration, used its waning time to address, say, financial regulatory issues, or if it addressed chemical security, or if it addressed food safety. It chose to use its time for these other kinds of agenda that make it much more troubling and make it harder to determine whether or not you should just end midnight regulation as a concept. We want to keep government working, we want the best of government, and we want to weed out the bad parts. Having said that, I think the Bolton memo that the chairman referred to at the very opening was nothing more than camouflage for a strategy to tie the hands of the next administration in many ways. The idea of that memo, although the deadlines all slipped, the idea of the memo was to make sure that the rules were published, that is, printed in the Federal Register as final, and made effective before the next administration came in, thereby tying the next administration's ability to undo many of those rules. Mr. Kennedy referred to the endangered species as almost a mockery of democracy when he had 9, I had 7 comments were reviewed per minute. I think that the Bolton memo established a speedy process that greatly undermined the ability of the agencies to do their work in the right kind of manner. While it may have not violated law in certain cases, it certainly violated the spirit of doing rulemaking in a prudent and effective manner. So what are we concerned about in the public interest world? There are really 3 categories of these midnight rules that we're concerned with. Those, I'll call them rules in the pipeline. That's the kind that The past administration put a handcuff on one wrist of the incoming administration. The second are rules that got published as final rules but are not yet effective. That's putting the handcuff on the other wrist, too. Then the third category are final rules that were published and are effective, and that's being hogtied. Those are the ones, probably a bad choice of words.
Yeah, punny.
Let me just conclude by saying that the Obama administration fixed the first two with the Rahm Emanuel memo and the OMB Director Orszag memo. Did not address that final category, and that's what we need to be doing.
Thank you, Dr.